Um, but I asked you that question about satsangs and working with guides.
Mm.
Um, both of those things have come into my life recently. I found a satsang teacher and I found two guides that I work with. And I find it to be entertaining and fun, and I think that it's useful, but I think that it also kind of strengthens this idea that realization or enlightenment is some kind of thing that's outside of the ordinary that I can achieve, and it creates this drive to change the way that I function. And so I'm trying to get their message that all I really need to do is see that there's nothing to change and there's no self to change.
Mm.
But
So, and
it's this
is this
stick.
is it your ego having a like ego? When I say ego, like you, is it some ego or seeking energy, whatever? Like the ego doesn't necessarily need to be seeking energy. Like the character, like are you having a reaction to them because you don't want to change yourself, or because it hurts you when they point these things out? Is
Um,
that why you're beginning to think about that? Because often like the
I-
confrontation of a teacher or the confrontation can sometimes like lead you to begin to think, oh, there doesn't need to be anything to change as a defense.
maybe I think my teachers help me to see that there's no self, and I get glimpses. And then when I'm not working with them, I try to get the glimpses back, and I start
Mm,
judging myself that I feel stuck in the me and stuck in seeking.
mm, mm. Yeah, so rather than thinking like more like, do you need um, guides or not guides, what I would do is then I would look at this feeling of getting stuck in seeking, and this what was it that you said? Like, did you feel stuck? Did you say like feeling like you
As the
need to
me,
get feeling like stuck as you, and that you need to get those experiences back or something?
yes, yes,
So to me, it's always like working with what you have. So it's like when it's like not thinking too much about the story and in line and whether this is good or not, that's good. Like you're working with those people and that's what's happening, and that's beautiful. And then when you're having those feelings when you're by yourself, it's reflecting on those feelings. So they come up, feeling like you're not good enough or you've done something wrong or that you can't do it alone. Seeing where you feel those feelings in the body and then connecting them to the past. So connecting to when you first heard that story in your life.
and is that something I can do, or is that just something that arises? Like, again, I'm stuck on this question of what can I do versus what's just happening.
Yeah, so there's the appearance of you that will do that. So there is an appearance of you, and that is what's happening. And then as you deconstruct more and more, then there will be more just happening, and the appearance of you will still happen, but it will become very thin. The
So,
appearance of the
so that
character.
means that the me could still feel jealousy, anxiety, and sadness, but it wouldn't identify with that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
The main
so
focus would be the stillness and the emptiness. When there's identification with those feelings, then there tends to be a going in time. So you have these feelings that are intense, and then there is a going in time and lots of seeking about them. Sometimes sadness and anxiety can be a result of seeking, but often, like the base feeling of them comes up, and then there is seeking to try to avoid them, and then this makes the identity. It's like you get consumed in yourself, trying not to feel anxiety or trying not to feel sadness. And then
right.
um, and then what begins to happen is the stillness and the silence in this moment becomes more in focus, and they appear, but they don't threaten you anymore. They don't threaten the essence anymore. They don't threaten like freedom or safety, because it's seen that who you are is that freedom and safety, and these are things that come and go in that freedom. When you're identified with them, then they feel like a threat on you. They feel like they're happening to you. They feel very personal and that you need to solve them. I wouldn't get too worried with this idea of like trying to work out how to act from what is and act with a person with volition. Well, you feel like you've got volition, just go with it.
Okay.
And do things and just keep exploring and keep being really radically honest about what's happening now. Like, what do you feel
Okay.
now? Like, what's happening in your experience?
Yeah. So the seeking energy and the identification is something that can become thin or fall away by itself. And it's not in time, and there's nothing I do to influence it. So for the time being, I know that saying that I can allow is like an action, but maybe not interfering with my emotions.
I wouldn't even think about that too much. Just so come back to this question now. Like, what is the experience happening right now for you? Like, what's happening? Like, describe it. You can describe all types of things, like what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're hearing. Like, what's happening in that consciousness now?
Oh, I guess I feel some butterflies in my chest, um,
Mm.
stomach. Feel I feel like I have a bit of an emptiness, like a hole that needs to be filled in the same
Mm.
area.
Mm.
Yeah, there's just this movement of thought trying to find something like an answer. Like when I do thought songs, I feel happier, and then when the thought song is over, I feel lonely again, like I need something to fill that hole.
Mm. Yeah, you're really cutting out, Eric, but I'll just reply to that. But maybe you can't speak so much because you're like like it goes like a robot, like that, 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 that. Um,
Oh,
uh, so it's really just so that loneliness, just really allowing that into the experience. So when you're in satsang, there is a merging with what's happening. So you're hearing that, and in a way, you could put in a crass way, like you're becoming very present in satsang. So there's a merging with everything. And then when you're by yourself, you become less present, and then the feeling of loneliness arises, and you want to get rid of that. But it's just allowing that in. So there's loneliness appearing, and exploring that. So where does the loneliness appear? Do you remember when you first felt that? Like, what does the loneliness want? Like, it's all okay. Like, embracing the experience rather than trying to get away from the experience. Like, these feelings aren't as bad as what we think they are. Normally what we do is we're always running away from the loneliness because we're terrified of that feeling, and we're terrified of what that means for us. So for an example, I think of a family member that experiences a lot of loneliness. In what they do is they spend most of their life talking, like so, like excessive talking to others, or uh, like always feeling their time, so watching TV, like always filling their time with words, because deep down they feel a loneliness, but they don't even have a perception that that's what is happening. What they feel is just a tension. They're not even conscious of the tension. So what it manifests to them is like this desperate need for interaction to maintain a sense of self. But as you become more conscious, then you can begin to go more into that. So for that one person that I'm thinking about, like first of all, what they need to do is notice that they're feeling tense prior to all this verbal communication. Then after they begin to notice that they feel tense, like why are they feeling tense? Like go into where they feel tense, and then begin to dissect that, like, what does it feel like, the tension? And then eventually they go deeper and deeper into it, and then they see its loneliness, and then beginning to go back through your life and noticing, when did that begin? When do I feel that? Noticing how it made you act in certain ways, the character act in certain ways. And just in loving it, just embracing that loneliness. Like, it's okay, it's not going to kill you. It's a sensation that's appearing. And it's not who you are. Who you are is the watching of it. Who you are is the consciousness, which is also the room, the windows, the walls, the ceiling, the breeze in the trees. I'm looking at trees outside, so I keep speaking about them. So it's just allowing these things in. There's nothing to run from. So rather than getting too mental about non-duality, it's like hearing all the stuff about non-duality because it's pointing you deeper and deeper. But rather than being too mental about it, it's always coming back to what is the actual experience now and breaking it down and seeing the common denominator is always this moment, the perception and the sense of being, the sense that this is, it's like you could say the I am, the empty looking, and this moment, and they're all one and the same thing. You could like say it's nothing and everything. Like, that's the common denominator. That's what's always been here. That's your home. That's your freedom. That's what you've always looked for. And then in that, all these experiences come and go, and none of them are you. You aren't someone that's lonely. There is loneliness appearing. You aren't someone that needs attention. There is the feeling of needing attention appearing. It's not you. It's appearing in this. You can try and speak again if you like, Eric, and we'll see how you
Okay.
sound, if you're like a robot or not.
Can you hear me now? Is this okay?
Yeah, you can. I'll stop you if it isn't.
Okay. Um, so the sense of me or identification is something that just arises in all of that, like just another thought, another sensation, and it doesn't need any more importance than that. It doesn't need to be differentiated from the other thoughts. Can I think of it like that?
Could you say that again, please?
So the sense of me,
Mm-hmm.
the sense of me is just a thought. It's just a thought like every other
Yeah.
thought, and it's not more
It's also, yeah,
valuable.
and also a feeling as well, yeah. Not more valuable or meaning anything. But don't get too mental about it. Keep coming back to what the body is experiencing as well. And
Okay.
what's happening in your body now. Just bit by bit. You don't have to act non-dual. You don't have to be non-dual. You don't have to force this to happen. Just all it requires you to do is keep going to the depth of the experience now. What's happening now, 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 now. And if that's insecurity, that's what's happening. If that's fear, that's what's happening. If it's joy, that's what's happening. And it's all happening in this one moment, this one endless moment. And none of it means anything. Our mind is always trying to like make a story about it, put it into a person, put it into time.
Yeah. Well, in my body, I just feel insecurity.
Great,
I
that's great.
feel,
Not great that you feel insecurity, but great that you can recognize it. Most people are insecure because they've lost their self, who they truly are. So they're insecure about their sense of existence. They feel very small in comparison to the world.
yeah, I feel insecurity and I feel a fear of abandonment, which I feel with everybody, really. Um,
Mm. Mm.
so it's difficult to get relief uh,
When did
in
you and when do you remember first experiencing that feeling of abandonment?
um, I was adopted when I was 5 years old, and I was
Mm.
conscious of that experience of not having my birth parents anymore. So
So you went from your
it's
birth
been,
parents to your adoptive parents.
yes, yes.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I can imagine that's very traumatic. So it's just holding that. You weren't ever abandoned by life. Life didn't abandon you. Life was there prior and after. Consciousness was there prior and after. The sense of I am was there prior and after. But in life, it feels like a person abandoned you. But
Yeah.
like, so it's just seeing that that's not really who you are. So that's a feeling that comes up. That doesn't equal you. It doesn't have to remain, but it also doesn't have to go.
Yeah. There's this deeply ingrained belief that I am a bad person because my parents left.
Mm, mm, yeah. And just recognizing that whenever it's appearing will have amazing healing transformation. And also see it like, so you recognize it appearing. And when it appears, it will seem very convincing because you'll be with someone, to say with me, and then there might be a tension and you might not be conscious of it, but inside it, it's saying she's going to abandon me. The more that you can recognize and see that that's not true, I'm not going to abandon you. People aren't going to abandon you. So just seeing that that's a feeling that's arising, that isn't true. But also don't push it away. Don't ignore it. Just allow it to be there.
Yeah, I'm in a relationship, and I've been with this person for a year and a half, and she's really great. She's very good at reassuring me with that fear of abandonment. Uh,
Mm.
and I've been finding that like you said, not pushing it away and just verbalizing it, talking about it,
Mm.
saying to her, I have a fear of abandonment and I just want to say that.
Yeah, that's so
That's
great that you're
enough.
doing it. Yeah. And this is really healing in itself, when you can have these relationships and say these things and then see that, like, so it's your worst fear, but that when you say it out loud, the other person isn't going to abandon you. That's so healing that they can hold it. You see, if you don't acknowledge it, so if you were to be unconscious, then it would act out. Maybe it would act out as trying to control the other person. Maybe it'd act out as holding back from the other person, cutting off from the other person, pushing the other person away. But if you can just admit it when it appears, it will bring you closer. And it hopefully will open the other person up, because everybody has fears. It's just different levels of it. And also seeing that it's not true.
Well, what I love, Lisa, about what you're saying, uh, is it's so similar to a lot of modern therapy methods right now, where it's about facing the emotion,
Mm,
allowing it to go through you,
mm,
and just pure recognition of what is. I think
mm.
pure
And that,
recognition of just what is like really healing.
yeah, totally. And that it doesn't define you. You are not somebody that was adopted. You are not somebody that was abandoned. Like right now, who you are is this moment, and that is a story of playing in who you are. And that is a story that your character identifies with, but that is not who you are. You can say it's like a story of the body, but the body isn't who you are. Who you are is what is. So it's like allowing the feeling 100%, so coming into full humanity, but also seeing that that's not you at the same time. And that, to me, like for me, I had quite a bit of trauma in childhood. And to me, that was really, really healing. That really made profound difference for me. To me, therapy without non-duality, it can have an effect, but it doesn't really penetrate, because there has to be the recognition of what you are beyond the story. to really like allow that to heal. So otherwise there's, yeah, there's not
I agree
really the
with you.
fully meeting it. You're not really fully meeting the feeling and the sensations of it.
I feel like we need another word that is not non-duality, because I think that experience is something that most people have at some point in their life, but non-duality makes it sound foreign, like something you have to try to get. But
Yeah,
I
you're beginning to
feel
cut
what you're
out
saying.
again, Eric. Now, have you got a microphone in? Have you got a headset in?
I'm on speakerphone.
You're on speakerphone. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but you're like you're going like a train, like up, you know, like this. Yeah,
Oh,
could be. It could also be my internet, but it sometimes it's better and then it gets worse again.
I'll stay by the window. Um, well, I lost my train of thought, but what I want to say is your message is like really applicable to so many situations, and what I love about it is the meeting of what is and the acceptance of the person and all
Mm,
that they are. I think that
mm,
that is just so
mm,
humane and such an expression of love,
yeah,
and I appreciate you
nice,
being a figure who shares that message.
nice. Yeah, thanks, Eric, for saying that. Like, I really appreciate that, and it really is never about getting rid of the humanity. It's absolute embracing of the humanity. It's through the embracing of the humanity, the separate self disappears. It's like through being fully human, you become nobody. It's
Wow.
beautiful. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Eric. Thank you so much for calling in and speaking with me today. I so appreciate your honesty and openness. I feel like everything you shared will be so helpful to other people listening.
Oh, well, thank you too, Lisa. I really appreciate you, and I hope we talk again sometime.
Yeah, nice. Thanks, Eric.
Okay,
Lots of
bye.
love. Bye. Oh, it's so beautiful. I'm not sure how much other people could hear Eric because of the um, the audio was flickering, but I so appreciated his expression.